Hi everyone, welcome to day two. So a quick recap of yesterday, day one. It was all about the losses and damages fund, and many pledges have been made. So 100 million by UK, Germany, and UAE each. 17.5 million by United States and 10 million by Japan. I was live tweeting the event and I've written 75 million, and believe me, it wasn't just me. Many people thought that actually US was pledging 75 instead of 17.5. I think people were expecting more from the world's second largest emitter to the losses and damages fund. So today and tomorrow is about the Climate Action Summit, where most of the world leaders will actually come together. So there are lots of restricted meetings that only head of states or their delegacies can attend. But there are some side events that I'm planning to attend today. Rumor has it Bill Gates is in the grounds, and there is a Microsoft Google AI panel. Probably he's meeting with the head of the states, not technology hub participants, but you never know.
Whoa! Bill Gates? Prime Ministers?
And regardless, I think that might be an interesting panel on how AI might help the climate crisis. So let's see. If I had to pick a title for today, it would be how to make a career in sustainability. So in the morning, I have interviewed two officers from UNFCCC. They talk about how youth can actually take action in data transparency, especially about what the countries are achieving so far, what the companies are achieving so far, because you can only improve what you can measure.
Hi, my name is Stefania Danivali. I work in the Transparency Division in the Training and Certification Unit and also within the banner of Together for Transparency. Yeah. We have a program for technical expert reviewers, which is available online in our website. You have for now 4 courses that explain the technical expert review process, that is the review of the reports that parties submit. To become a technical expert, you have to take the courses that we have online. It's open source and self-paced. Course A is mandatory for everybody, but then you have thematic courses on GHG inventory, on tracking progress and implementing NDCs, and on financial and technology transfer and capacity building. We'll have another course on adaptation, on the review of adaptation information, but that is going to be available next year. The only part that you need to have the certification is you need to be approved by your national focal point of your country. For that, you need to self-nominate yourself through a platform that is already in our website, and then you take the examinations. But the material is free.
Yeah, thank you very much for explaining. I will share the link in the descriptions. The great thing about this program is that you can become part of a technical expert, but even if you're not, right, all of the material is still open source and you can still learn a lot. I'm again with another expert from the Together for Transparency platform of UNFCCC. So why don't you introduce yourself first?
Okay, sure. My name is Mirana. I come from Madagascar and I work for the Transparency Division at the UNFCCC Secretariat.
You actually described in the youth panel many different ways that youth and students can engage in transparency activities.
Many young people involved in climate change arena are aware of mitigation, adaptation, but very, very few know about what transparency is and how youth can be involved in that, whereas youth can really play key roles, first of all, because transparency, it involves the parties are reporting, submitting reports on their climate action, their greenhouse gas emission, and the support that they receive. Those reports are reviewed by international technical experts, and you, of course, you can become one of those technical experts who go to those countries to analyze their transparency reports. You can also involve in research or innovation in order to find innovative way on data collection, data analysis, and to promote transparency. You can also involve in your respective governments in order to contribute in reporting itself. You can also be involved in our private sector. There are consultancy, data collection, data data analysis and help institutions and parties to prepare reports as well. You can also attend events like this to learn more and have more capacity building. So
Thank you so much.
thank you very much.
And then I was in the joint Google Microsoft panel. I took some footage. It was basically the chief sustainability officers of both Google and Microsoft, and their message was extremely clear. We need a lot of people with hard skills. However, the current body of people and their skills are not matching with what we need. They said three main important parts: information, optimization, and prediction, especially from an AI point of view, is going to be extremely important. So even the Google's, for example, Google Maps green routes, like when you take a direction from point A to point B, now you're being provided a green route, which will minimize your carbon emissions during that route. I know my students don't like when we go into deep calculations or have some mathematical models, and now it's not just me, it's also the CSO of Microsoft and Google. And we have this long debate within academia, I think, and even in the private sector, between the hard skills and the soft skills. Maybe we ended up here because there were a lot of people with good hard skills and no soft skills at all, in the sense that we were just maximizing our profits, minimizing our costs, maximizing the efficiencies without, having a great framework. But nowadays, we only have frameworks. Even here, the participants of the UN themselves are saying that, okay, it's all talk but no action. We need people who are great communicators, collaborators, but still in the next decade or so, we need people with hard skills as well. As the next event, I am planning to go to the LinkedIn's event, which is going to take place in the green zone, and hear their thoughts on sustainability careers.
One of the most in-demand skills that we see at LinkedIn right now is carbon accounting. And carbon accounting is one of those things that basically every company is going to need in the coming years, because companies are going to be required to understand their own carbon output and that of their supply chains. That's actually a very specific skill for which there is no pattern for training who those people are. There's no way to learn carbon accounting right now. We think there are basically three major stakeholders who need to think about green skills. So the first one is companies. So companies not only need to make sure they're hiring properly, they also need to be ready to train employees to fit. The second is investors. They've got a bunch of people who entrusted them with their money. They want a return on that money. So they want to make sure that the things they invest in are relatively low risk. But one of those risks is you can deploy a, say, hydrogen plant, and there's no one there who can operate it. And then finally, obviously, as governments, there might be a different recipe if we weren't talking about climate, but climate is too urgent, I think, not to try it on all three fronts simultaneously.
Continuing with the Midday Reflections, today there was extremely heightened security because the world leaders are here. So we have the president of India here, we have president of Brasilia is here, and many other world leaders are here. However, we are missing two important figures: President Biden of the United States of America and President Xi Jinping of China, which is very unfortunate because they are the world's two largest emitters and they are not represented at the presidential level here, unfortunately. And we were needing to hear their commitments and their action plans more than anyone, and it's disappointing, to be honest. So yeah, these were the midday reflections. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. Some great achievements, but unless they're crowned with concrete steps, with phasing down fossil fuels, it will be an anticlimactic event. I think that is the most urgent issue that needs to be discussed. I will try to follow up the daily briefings from the insider sources and then try to share them with you as soon as I can.